Hi, Marius. We should be
Hey,
live
Sarai.
now. Hey.
Okay, we are now live. Okay, because I don't see me on YouTube, but when you say we are live, oh yeah, we are live. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, this is pretty. Okay, now it works. Wow, we are
wonderful.
so good into the technique figures out and something like that. Wow. Okay, because this was a really hard session now for us. We took now 2 hours to figure out to start a live video chat on YouTube because we are young students and we was like, okay, maybe it's only has to be log in and then we are finished. And now we can say we are profis now to make a video cam chat. Okay, but now I want to introduce the Sarai, and maybe we start directly to my questions. But I want to show you or describe the art project or the art podcast you made on the European Art Festival for the European Art Festival and maybe also for your diploma. And because I really like your text, I wanna read it in a short version. Okay, Sarai made an Art Life podcast on Spotify with it was 8 versions, 8 podcast Folgen. And the text is listen to me if you dare, or just if you want something unusually. Welcome to Art Life, a very nice chapter. Okay, now I stop because I really like this because you explain in this podcast how the struggles for an artist with a project. We all know it. When we go to the gallery spot, we only see the beautiful, clean art piece. But what is behind this beautiful, clean art piece? It's much of structure, much of democracy, and much of struggling. Like this, how we make a video YouTube call, and yeah, I really enjoyed all the Art Live podcast Folgen from you, and do you want to make other podcast Folgen or was it only a podcast form and this is all?
I definitely see this as a work in progress. I'm planning to do more texts. I already have a few ideas. Yeah, the idea behind it for me was really to give a window into art life or also my life. It's very
Yeah.
intimate. And I was writing these lyrical texts where every chapter I'm also talking about an artwork or a phase. So I'm always connecting it also to something that I did. And then I'm also giving the background behind it or my thoughts behind the work. In this way, it's not only a project description, but it's also bringing the art life into the project and its description as well. And oftentimes, what the work really is only then said in 1 minute or so. And sometimes in the podcast, I also have the work in when it's a sound work, and sometimes I don't. And I'm experimenting really on how to present text, how to work with text. In the beginning, I tried it out online. I was posting it on a website called Royal Road, which is just an open archive where you can make an account and
Yeah.
post what you write. And it was relatively successful. I already got some comments, but it just felt so good to read the text as well, so that the person who is listening to it hears it the way I imagined it to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's when I experimented uploading it as episodes to the podcast. And I really like it that way, and I think that's how I will continue it. And that's also why I decided for the exhibition in Haze 29 for the EMA Festival to present it as a QR code. So anybody walking the street from the poster can read the QR code and then hear the podcast. And yeah, So that's the project.
Okay, then I want to come directly to your festival poster or your poster from your podcast. Is it very provocative, and I like it so much. Is it
Thank
your
you.
body? Can we talk about the picture also?
Yes, so for anybody who hasn't seen it, the poster is a naked female body from the bottom of the breasts until right of the beginning of pubic hair. And yes, it is my body, and I knew that I wanted this picture because I'm so naked in the work. I even talk about that in the first episode, that to see a work or to experience a work I did, I'm more naked than if I would stand nude in front of you. And so this is kind of a play on how I feel and how intimate the work is as well, that it is incredibly naked. And then there's also in front of my stomach, I'm doing a fuck you sign. And this is, for me, a symbolic fuck you to everything that is difficult, everything that is art life and unfair and hard, and just a general fuck you as well. A fuck you to the podcast itself.
Yeah. Okay, wow. And what was the idea behind the podcast? Is it in your artist practice always a podcast? Was it your first podcast? Or what was behind the idea? Or maybe also the Corona situation where we cannot go to galleries and have to go to other platforms like the digital platforms.
I've done a lot of sound work before, especially for friends. I think probably because I'm living in Germany and I have an American accent in English. So when you want a English-speaking narrative, then my voice is very useful. So I have a lot of experience working with my voice and working in sound in a studio. But this is my first podcast. And yeah, I think it's interesting to call it a podcast because I do feel that it's a podcast in how it is. A podcast is talking about things. It's talking about subjects. So in that way, I see it as a podcast, and I also call it a podcast. But really, every episode is reading a text aloud, and you could also almost experience it like a book or a listening book. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, and yeah, maybe I come to your clear voice because you also taught about you have many jobs about your voice. Also your voice is sometimes in some videos what we know. And do you make some Trainingsübungen for your voice?
Well, I think just kind of being thrown into water and starting with that work has been my training and my experience. It's really helpful for me how I can always hear back my voice when I'm working in the tone studio, in the sound studio, excuse me, hear it with the earphones as I'm speaking. And then I just manipulate and try it while listening to myself. So I've had no professional training. I do sometimes try to do what professionals do and speak the S differently so that it's not as sharp on audio. But yeah, my training has just been trial and error, trying out. Yeah.
Nice. And yeah, when we come to the voice, also we come to the language. Do you plan also maybe a German sprachiger podcast, or is it always on English? Because English is also an international voice. So, yeah, do you plan also a deutschsprachige podcast Folge?
So when you listen to the podcast, you see how lyrical it is, how experimentally it's written, and it really demands a high level of English. And that's a level that I don't have in German, if I'm completely honest. I have tried with the help of two wonderful friends, Julika and Tia, to translate some parts of it into German, because I'm hoping to create a little booklet or a catalog with the texts. And it really doesn't work as well in German, because you have parts where the rhythm is very important, for example, and that's lost in translation. Also, I don't like how in German I have an accent, so if it would be voiced in German, I could imagine that it wouldn't be my voice at all.
Okay. And then we come maybe also about the topics you taught in your podcast. It's always about work or how you have struggling with application for a residency or so on, so on. And I was like, when I hear it, because I think it's really interesting to hear what is about an art piece and what we cannot see in the art piece. And can you describe, or is it for you also possible to make a podcast about Finanzierungen, about money applications for us artists? Because I think it's also a really interesting topic for us, wie wir uns als Künstlerinnen überhaupt finanzieren können.
Yes, how oneself can finance, how you can finance yourself through arts. I already touched on it a little bit in my 4th episode, Escapism.
Yeah.
Where I talk about, or to quote, I say, I don't want to live stretched so thin anymore. I have an open wound on my arm, weeping, plasma. And in that way, I'm also talking about what a struggle with money it is for me. And to be honest, if you would measure success with money, I'm not successful at all. I make very little money from my voice work when I have it, or from any artwork. If you measure it in funding I got, then in the episode Escapism, I also talk about getting funding and how I got thousands of funding for a project we talked about in our first small talk for the website project. But of course, that's money for the website project, and I've never kept anything or so on for myself. It would be illegal. So you can look at large amounts of funding I've got, or large for me, which is crazy to work with because it's so different from my personal life. But then, as an artist, it's still a struggle just to pay rent.
Yeah, we have always a struggle also during this crazy times. And
Yes.
you was get into it a little bit about your project, about the website project. I'm very curious about. Do you have any news about it, or maybe you can explain it now, really short for us? What is the website project? What is behind it?
I would be happy to. So, like the podcast, it's a work in progress. So, anything I say will be subject to change, except for the core idea of the website project, which is to build a democratic social network for students by students. And with this idea, we hope to create an alternative space, one where we together can decide the borders and live with our own ideals. So one way we're doing that, for example, is that we have written our own community guidelines, which we are now going over together with a lawyer who specializes in internet law. So, for example, that was a very expensive part of the funding, hiring a lawyer. And we also are working with different academies, or to be more correct, different student committees, because we don't want to be directly from the frame of an academy, but from different student committees and different students. And in that way, the decisions of the project and the development can stay completely in student hands. And one reason we want that is because we have a bit of a controversial idea, which is that we want to allow our users to post 18 plus content when it is in the context of art. So pornography wouldn't be allowed, but anything that would be 18 plus in an artistic context would be. So, for example, if you have a work that explores identity, gender, often that contains nudity, and then that could be posted on the website. But that's quite complicated. We've been talking with the same lawyer on how we can do this in a safe way, because although it's legal in Germany, if you somehow make mistakes, it's jail time. It's very strict laws. And it's quite difficult, and I'm not sure we will have the capacity for it from the beginning of the project. But we're looking into different possibilities and more funding so that we can start out the project with that. And right now we're in the phase also of looking into IT security, because there are also strict standards of internet security that we need to follow and even attest. So it's all, it's a project that demands knowledge and skills in different fields. And we're slowly bringing it all together, and we really view the process as the project as well. It's impossible to do a project this big that takes this much amount of time before it will open and not enjoy the process. And we're really learning a lot. Like for some people, it's the first time they're writing a funding proposal, and by people I mean the website team or a team of students. Also the first time to get funding, and it's really also a learning process for us all. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So you are in so much projects involved. You have your artist practice, then you have your website project, what's also your artist practice, and then you have also the art podcast live. And maybe you can also start a YouTube account. Is it a possibility for you, or a TikTok account? Because we are all digital natives, so we are digital natives. And is it also possible for you to get more into this socializing media?
So I think for Art Life, it really works that it's a sound project and not a visual project, especially because the text is so visual. And if I would make actual visuals to follow the text, then it's kind of closing something off, something that I want to leave open for a listener. So I can't imagine Art Life being a visual project as well right now. But I do also work in video, and I have sometimes posted on Vimeo, for example, and for the future, yes, I could imagine that there are projects that I want on YouTube, maybe projects that I want on TikTok. Although I find TikTok quite challenging because you have such a short time frame.
For me also.
Yeah, but definitely, I wouldn't say no.
It was also really funny because I was like, okay, I have to get also this TikTok, and I was downloading into my phone, and I was like, oh, holy shit, it's so complicated for me. How every person can make a TikTok video? I was like, okay, holy shit, it's not for me. But it comes to you. I wanna post also on YouTube your podcast link, so maybe the others can also see it. Okay. So I posted also in the top chat right now, so you can copy paste it. Oh no, it was the YouTube link. Okay, sorry. Okay, now I make it better. So teilen in den Link der Show kopieren. All right, this is Sarai's podcast link. It hopes it works because it's from Spotify, so you can get it also. Okay, on my account it works. Maybe we have other questions. Maybe we can also talk about a little bit about our hashtag Small Talks project during the European Art Festival, hashtag Campus. So the hashtag Small Talks are like really sharp artist talks. We make some questions, and it's really sharp, like a normal talk on the street when you walk with your dog or something like that. And yeah, maybe we wait from another question, but I have also another question to you. Do you have plans after your studium?
Yes, I would. I've been applying to all kinds of residencies, and to be honest, I'm also considering to do a Meisterschule year, just so I can continue working on the website project, because I would really love to work with it until it's online. What I would also really love to do is have time for writing, and just have a few months that I would dedicate to writing, and see if I can post it online, and see if I get a following, see if people are interested in what I write. I already have an anonymous account where I do that, and it's been received quite well. But I want to maybe try it under my own name, or experiment with different kinds of writing. So I really imagine writing and the website project in the near future.
Oh, nice. And you are now in Germany located, right?
Yes.
Do you plan to get back to Israel or another country?
A lot of people ask me that, and it's complicated for me. To be honest, I don't think so. I really have. I'm answering slowly because I have so many mixed feelings.
Yeah.
I love my family and I love visiting them in Israel, but I feel so much more comfortable living outside of Israel for different reasons. So I cannot imagine moving back to Israel anytime soon, at least.
Okay, wow. And then I have also a question. Your diploma year, do you want to make your diploma year now during the pandemic season or something like that, or do you plan it to make it in the next years?
Yes. Here you hit on a bit of another political point, although it's more academy politics. So there is a bit of a movement in our academy to get something called a Diplomverschiebung, which would mean a graduation delay. And the reasoning behind this is that they're giving us the same deadlines as in earlier years, but we don't have the same resources, we don't have the same access to the academy, the same access to studios or to workshops as there were in earlier years, and that it's unfair to demand from us to do the same thing people have done with larger resources and larger access. So I actually made an overview where I spoke to each person who is graduating this year, and there is a majority of people who want a graduation delay. Graduation is usually in July, and we're asking for a 4 to 6 week delay. And I actually had a speech this week in an academy meeting where I asked for this delay, and I presented the details of the overview I had made. And unfortunately, it was very badly received. I think many people just want the pandemic to be over, want to be thinking about vacation, want to get on with their lives. But the fact is that it's not over yet, and it's still influencing each of us in different ways, not only in our access to the academy and our access to resources, but also financially, privately, mentally. So I am aiming to finish this year. However, if I don't make it for this deadline in July, or if there isn't, if we do not get the delay that we requested, I don't know if I might delay my graduation a year or not. I really hope it will succeed, that we get the delay. It's quite difficult to see these people who are saying any student who cannot manage July should just wait another year, when it's financially so difficult to study another year. You really feel how these are people who are secure in their in the money that they make. and the privileges that they have, that their arguments against it are mainly that they have other plans in August or September, that they want vacation.
Yeah, it's a really difficult topic. And also I have a question because I have also now the struggles about a mini job. Because when you are a student, especially a fine art student, it's always hard to find a good job who fits also into your artist practice and also into your work as an artist. And then you have also the seminars in the academy. And do you have a mini job?
Yes, that's how I finance myself. I was working as a waitress before the pandemic, and then that wasn't possible anymore, and I'm very grateful and lucky to have received a job in a food market where I sell fruits and vegetables. It's a very physically demanding job, but yeah.
It's also nice to have a physical job right now, isn't it?
I don't know, when I was standing in December in the snow, it could have been less physically demanding for 8 hours.
Oh, you are working in the Altstadtmarkt in Brunswick.
Yes, in the inner city,
Oh,
exactly.
wow. Okay, wow. Yeah, this is really nice, but also really cold because it's outside.
Yes, but I imagine that when the weather is warmer, it will be a really much nicer job to have.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. It's also nice to have a physical workplace because I work all the time on my Mac and have all the administrative works. So I don't come outside only when I work with my dog. And I really love to have physical jobs because I was also working in a bar. And now it's closed, sadly. But I really like it to have a physical job because when I get into my artist practice, then I have this other thing. You have to go to the work. And this is now completely done. Do you like it also for your artistic practice to have another thing where you can put into your energy?
I feel like at this point I should say something positive and nice, but the reality is, if I didn't have to do this to earn money, I would much rather prefer to focus on writing or other projects like the website. So I really do it. I enjoy it when I'm there. I enjoy the team that I work with, and I'm enjoying to see the different vegetables and fruits that are coming as the season changes. But it's a job that I do for money.
Yeah. So this is maybe also a struggle. I really have this utopia to have a job who fits perfectly also into my artist practice, and maybe we will find it soon, Sarai. At some point.
I'm trying. I've sent 8 applications to different voice agencies.
Wow, pretty. Okay, this is nice. Yeah.
So I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Okay, Sarai. So now we are half an hour online, and maybe because it's a hashtag small talk, we can show it. We have other questions from the outside, but sadly not. And maybe it's now time to say goodbye because we are talking about your Art Life podcast, about your website project finally again, also with new news about your project. And I really cross my fingers.
Thank you.
But you have a really nice diploma here, and also to have maybe a nice voice. Maybe I hear you at some next Hollywood films or something like that, because I really believe into it, because when I was hearing your podcast Art Life, I was like, oh wow, I'm so focusing it into your voice, and I'm also feeling coming down with your voice because your voice is so nice. I was like, oh wow, it's so relaxing to hear to you, because I was in the train and I was going with my dog and I was hearing your podcast, and I was okay, I can highly recommend it. I make some advertising also for a podcast, and I was like, highly recommended it, because when you hear Sarai's voice in a podcast, it's the other thing when we are talking to each other, because we are in a small talk, But when you hear your podcast, it's like, wow, I can really relax into my chair and coming down and hear to your topics. But I have also to say it's also really strong topics, and you have to think about it. But it's really easy to think about it because you have a really nice, kind voice, and this make it easy to me for it. And I was directly come to Judith Butler, the Sprechakt. I can I have it here. Wenn die Geste zum Ereignis wird, when it comes to the Sprechakt, and I was like, okay, maybe this is really nice to have it in the podcast as a nice Sprechakt. All right, Sarai. So maybe we have to say goodbye now. Really thank you to have Sarai now here. And yeah, maybe we see us soon, maybe also at some point physically.
I
And
hope so.
you have the chance to see or hear the podcast online at every time where you go with your dog and or you clean your room, you can hear Sarai's voice. And maybe you can also see it the poster. Yeah. So really thank you, Sarai, and have a good evening. And I have to say, I'm really, really lucky. But we are so digital, wonderful persons. But we are now live on YouTube because it was a really nice session, and really nice. Thank you to Sarai because she made it actually. Yeah, because I was like, okay, I'm what the fuck, because I'm the topical, the typical digital native. I want everything, but I cannot get it at some point. And I was like, oh wow, thank you so much, Sarai, what you are the technic master behind this nice talk.
And I see that Leili Fogel also wrote in the chat, thank you. I'm happy that you enjoyed it. Yeah. And I wouldn't say I'm a technical master. I'm just good at following tutorials.
Yeah, because I was looking also into YouTube tutorials and on other tutorials, and I was like, it's really complicated. But yeah,
We did
are
it.
now live. We did it, honey bean.
All right. Thank you so much, Marius, for the invitation
Not for
today.
this, Sarah. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and now wie komme ich jetzt hier raus?
I will do it. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.